Hi, this is Andy McCaskey from SDR News and Slashdot Review. Getting ready to cover CES with Todd Cochran of Geek News Central, all with coverage for the Tech Podcast Network. And we needed some test video, as I had mentioned in the audio podcast earlier this week. Boy, I've spent a lot of time today trying to get this figured out. Not sure I'm too successful, but needed some more video to test. And so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just prepare the regular show here, and we'll see how things go. Getting ready to record now to a separate audio recorder. This is a Marantz 670, and I come off the board through a little bit of audio processing equipment directly into this recorder. This is the recorder that I'll be carrying almost all week in the coverage for CES. Happy New Year. This is SDR News for January 1st, 2008. My name's Andy McCaskey. This continues the holiday summary of recent news highlights from Slashdot, Dig, and Reddit while getting ready for the big CES coverage week for Tech Podcast Network. It's a new year. We've got a new sponsor, and I think one you're really going to like. Plus, as always, we have the support of loyal listener underwriters and our main online conference tool, GoToMeeting. Here's what's new on SDR News. Confirmations on the Apple Sub Notebook. Mac Rumors has reliable confirmation about some of the features for upcoming Apple Notebook releases. This should come out at Macworld in San Francisco in 2008. It's rumored that it will not have an internal optical drive, at least one of the Mac notebooks. This is due to Apple's ongoing efforts to reduce the size of some of their laptops. Instead, they'll be offering an external optical drive with the Sub Notebook. It would allow users to leave the extra bulk at home when on the road. That's indeed expected to be coming at Macworld. It's kind of amazing how after 7 years, Apple and Steve Jobs are able to take a standard Hewlett-Packard feature and make it into something that's new. Online collaboration is creating map making for the masses. Science Daily site talks about user-generated content and the effect that it can have on map making. Websites such as Wikimapia and OpenStreetMap are empowering citizens to create a global patchwork of geographic information. And of course, Google Earth is encouraging individuals to develop applications using their own data. Scientists are appreciative. You have enthusiastic mappers updating maps on changes in local geographic information. It's interesting and offers lasting and compelling value. But geographers are very impressed because it lets them know about local activities that might go unnoticed by the world's full-time media. Web 2.0, georeferencing, geotags, global positioning systems, and broadband communications, of course, the enabling technologies. Self-promotion and personal satisfaction from seeing their contributions online are the primary motivators for many of these individuals. This particular story covers what motivates large numbers of individuals. Often, many of these people do not have formal qualifications to take part, but the technology allows them to do so. Article also explains how accurate the results are and what volunteer geographic information can add to more conventional sources of such information. You can see I've got some editing to do here in a moment. New Year's resolutions and engineering approach. 4 out of 5 people who make New Year's resolutions will eventually break them. A third won't even make it to the end of January, at least according to the New York Times. Experts say the real problem is that people make the wrong resolutions. Typical resolution is a general desire, but to have better behavior, it's more productive to focus on a specific goal. We'll have more on that from our new sponsor in just a moment. Here's some resolutions that experts say can work. To lose weight, resolve to split an entree with your dining partner when dining out. Always order a salad and stuff yourself before every meal. That's a good way to cut calories. To improve fitness, you could begin to wear a pedometer and monitor your daily activity. And you resolve to play with your kids at least an extra day per week. It's another good article on getting organized with your kids in the school, and I've got that tagged on the site as well. You can count them up. There are 5 annoying programs, at least on your PC. The phrase is elephantware. That's programs that are bloated enough to make a brand new PC boot up like a Pentium 2 with 64 megs of RAM. That's what causes your screen to freeze while it works and consumes the system resources, reminding you to let and while it works, it consumes all sorts of system resources, but there's just enough left to remind you to let you know there is an even bigger version that's available for download. First prize, of course, goes to Acrobat Reader. Foxit Reader, much better solution, and you won't cringe when you come across a PDF link when you browse the internet if you have Foxit Reader. Apple iTunes is judged to be a cow of an application. It's very heavy, takes a long time to load, and that's why the folks at Podcast Ready have been steadily gaining every time that I check my stats. Real Player could have been YouTube. Instead, it's Real Player, kind of a pushy kid on the front lawn selling you magazine subscriptions. It doesn't just take over. Real Player won't leave you alone and tries to take over all the media on your hard drive, take over your web browser, and become your MP3 player. Then finally, Gmail and Yahoo Mail are so much faster and so much more feature-rich, but how in the world does Outlook continue? It is pitch-strip slow as soon as you get a few thousand messages, and then you can add in the auto-disable feature when your inbox gets too big. And you can see why most of us in a corporate environment spend most of our time in Outlook. Tonight's program is brought to you in part by a new advertiser called Nozbe, N-O-Z-B-E. Getting Things Done, GTD, has just gotten easier because Nozbe is a free web-based application that will help you to be even more productive using David Allen's Get Things Done techniques with an easy-to-use web interface. And there are economical paid versions of the Nozbe GTD application, and you can use your iPhone as your GTD panel for actions or projects or items wherever you are. I was lucky enough to find an iPhone under the tree, and now I get to turn it into a productivity tool. Nozbe is a simple web-based GTD software application. You don't need to install anything on your computer. You can just sign up for a free account and log in to manage your to-do lists, tasks, notes, and projects. You can forget about Outlook's to-do list and other task managers. They help generate long to-do lists that never get done, and they make you feel miserable and overwhelmed with the number of to-dos and tasks. You can look for the Nozbe link at slash.review.com and learn more about the #1 GTD application. Getting ready for CES, and we're going to run into getting ready for CES, and one of the folks that I'm anxious to say hello to again is Andrew Edwards. He runs Gear Live. Gear Live has quite a lengthy set of questions and answers on the new iPhone downloads, iPhone 113. They've been answering viewer and reader questions on the firmware and been showing off some early releases of it. One of the coolest features in this upgrade should be the ability to add the home screen. One of the coolest features in the upgrade would be the ability to add an icon to the home screen that would hot link directly to a favorite web page. And that's going to be one of the first features that I put on. Also really interested in the geolocation. It's not GPS, but it's a location service map overlay that will triangulate on cell towers and give you your approximate location. And of course, the final thing, the ability to send multiple SMS messages all at the same time. You have to know where to look, but AT&T reportedly has a super deal on DSL, $20, naked DSL. Actually, there is a $10 DSL option that AT&T has quietly introduced. They are all naked in that their DSL has no landline and allegedly no contract. You might have a hard time finding the exact combination on their website. Speakeasy made a name for itself offering naked DSL, but it's not available in all areas. Most telcos would rather not give up a major revenue generator, allowing customers to bypass the landline. AT&T agreed earlier this year, part of the condition for acquiring Bell South, that would introduce a standalone DSL option by the end of 2007. They've been offering DSL service for $10 a month to new customers since June. The sorts of speeds, 768 down and 128 up. I'm not going to burn up or set any records. DSL Reports says that the day has come and gone without much fanfare. Apparently they're offering this $19.95 DSL. It began December 20th. Apparently comes without contract and no landline. It's going to take you some time digging around the AT&T site. It is called DSL Lite. Some thoughts on YouTube. I never thought of YouTube and video quality in the same sentence, but I am learning more than I ever wanted to know about web-based video and some of the trade-offs. My intent was to have some demo material put up today, but what I found instead is this alphabet soup of formats and conversion times and bandwidth trade-offs. These flip video cameras are great, but the encoders are way too slow for the sort of turnaround that Todd and I are going to need to provide coverage this coming week. So I've got some decisions to make. We're going to go in the direction of trying to get as much to you on the SDR Newsroom back channel as we can, and then make it professional later, if at all. It's going to be a lot closer to the sort of video you'll see on Ustream TV instead of the quality of YouTube. When you start to make choices about 10 meg downloads versus 90 meg, or 10 meg uploads versus 90 meg uploads, or encode rates that are 2x real time, I figure you'd probably prefer more material over more polished material. I'll let Todd take care of all that with his HDTV setup for the big videos. Rising security threat from barcodes. As more and more businesses become dependent on barcodes, there are some common problems involving the security of two-dimensional barcode software. It started out in Europe. As some hackers found that a season ticket to a multi-story car park in Dresden was based on a simple barcode, and the tickets issued were not checked by a background system that made it pretty easy to get free parking. They also have found one-dimensional barcodes on admission cards coupled with a payment function for buying drinks. They found they could load that up with credit. Some of the more resourceful ones simply copied some of these alcoholic coupons. Only problem was the only pass that they copied was one where a drinker had already exhausted his credit balance. It may be an unlikely hacking platform, but apparently it's been tested also at DVD rental stores where they had a membership card with a barcode, membership number, and PIN. They studied the combinations of the He studied the significance of the bar sequences and the combinations underneath, and he studied the combinations of the barcode, the membership number, and PIN, and looked at the significance of the bar sequences and the linear digit combinations that were found underneath. The hacker managed to obtain DVDs that other clients had already paid for but had not yet picked up. You have to remember not to use your own membership number when you're doing this sort of thing, but the article points out that boarding passes seem to work on the same system, something like a GNU barcode software and a template of printed out tickets. You might be able to take some nice vacations until you ended up on a nice long vacation. 27 billion gigabytes will be archived by 2010. Computer World surveyed IT managers, looked at data storage projects, and found they're the #2 priority for corporations, up from #4 in 2007. Whether it's television stations or big-name amusement parks, all of them are going to struggle to house huge media files or manage the data necessary to track customer spending trends. Universities need extra capacity to spur e-learning and to hold more detailed data on students. Hospitals need enhanced storage projects to avoid buckling under regulations and the prospect of massive image files. In fact, you don't have to look too far from home. You may be about to use one of those terabyte drives for all the video you might be capturing or generating. On a personal basis, I had added a lot of inexpensive storage this past year, and I bet that you have as well. Archiving data. In the private sector alone, electronic archives will take 27,000 petabytes. That's 27 billion gigabytes by 2010. And of course, email growth accounts for much of that figure. We're also sponsored, of course, by GoToMeeting. I can represent GoToMeeting with confidence because I use GoToMeeting not only for Tech Podcast Network roundtables, but with personal clients and with family members. I can easily do that because GoToMeeting is affordable, and I know it will save many hours of weekend troubleshooting time for family members in distant states. Just give them a GoToMeeting tune-up every few weeks. Started off the year right. I ran a GoToMeeting session this afternoon. Quick check on my dad's computer and a sound card issue. Thought we had it under control when I was at the site last week. You can try GoToMeeting free for 30 days at our risk, and you don't need a credit card. Go to gotomeeting.com/techpodcast. Computer glitch halted Seattle's New Year's fireworks. At the stroke of midnight, Seattle's fireworks show ground to a halt. Source of the problem reported to be a corrupted file that wasn't checked until the last minute. After 2 reboots, the fireworks had to be detonated manually. And yes, one blog commenter claimed to have worked on prior shows, and he said that the shows do run on Windows. That's SDR News for tonight. My name's Andy McCaskey. No relationship to Slash.dig or Reddit other than as a regular reader. 2 more programs this week. You should receive them Thursday and Friday morning. And then you can get ready for a whole series of programs and content of all sorts of varying lengths and content and quality from CES. It's going to be fun. Comments and suggestions, slash.review@gmail.com. SDR News is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow. This weekend, you may want to try Podcast Ready. Podcast Ready's patent-pending MyPodder podcast management software transforms UMS-compliant MP3 devices into independent podcast receivers. UMS devices are players that connect as universal mass storage devices. MyPodder software is available preloaded on select MP3 players and by free download at podcastready.com. Okay, well, obviously you're going to have some editing applied to that, but that's kind of par for the course. It's only about 10 o'clock here. It gets really interesting when I try and do this at 1 or 2 in the morning, and you'll have a chance to see that as well. So anyway, thanks for watching the video here and participating in the testing, and we'll be having some more stuff to come up tomorrow, probably in a little shorter content so we can experiment with various encoding rates and so forth. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll keep in